Cheating and drug use among athletes go hand in hand. The topic had always been highly debated and controversial. Drug use has historically and continues to be a predominant problem in sports. This video will highlight the history of drugs in sports, predominant cases and periods, and also how drugs will affect sports moving forward.
History of drug use in sports dates back to 776 BC. Ancient Greek Olympians competed for huge cash prizes and olive wreaths. Therefore, they were doping to reach their optimum performance. Drugs were not illegal at this time. Drugs were also used in the modern Olympic Games in 1904. Marathon runner Thomas Hicks used his own formula of drugs, which almost led to his death. The first rule against doping in sports was in 1928. The International Association of Athletics Federation, which was the governing body for track and field, prohibited doping for athletes. This was according to procon.org. In 1958, the FDA approved the first anabolic steroid sale in the U.S. The godfather of steroids, Dr. John Bosley Ziegler, created an anabolic steroid called Dianabol. He sold this to the Russian weightlifting team to help increase their performance. In 1968, the IOC instituted the first set of drug tests in the Winter and Summer Olympic Games. The list of banned substances included amines, psychomotor stimulants, and miscellaneous central nervous system stimulants. This included alcohol. Anabolic steroids were not included in the list due to insufficient testing methods. Over time, more and more federations would ban drug use. In 1988, President Reagan outlawed non-medical steroid sales. 3 years later, Major League Baseball banned steroids in their sport. Athletes who broke these rules would face penalties such as disqualification, suspension, and stripping of gold medals. This was again according to procon.org.
When drug use in sports is talked about, oftentimes the steroid era in Major League Baseball comes to mind. Starting in the 1990s, power numbers in baseball started to rise. This led to the league being more strict and aware. Starting in 2001, the MLB started random minor league testing. In 2003, the MLB started random testing during spring training. Later that year, it was announced that 5 to 7% of players failed their drug test. In December of that year, the famous Balco trials took place. Here, 10 major league players including Barry Bonds, Rafael Palmeiro, Jason Giambi, Mark McGwire, among others, testified in front of the Bay Area Laboratory Cooperative Jury. At the time, none of the players would be indicted. However, later came to a fact that various players among that group did use steroids in their career. This era had a long-lasting effect on baseball. It made testing much more in-depth and more often. It also had a huge effect on Hall of Fame voting for players linked to this period. Many believe the steroids era will never truly end. That's in an article of Dan Levy's The Steroids Era in Baseball Will Never Ever End.
Marijuana is currently one of the hottest topics of discussion in the sports industry. Athletes claim they use marijuana because it has an effect on their anxiety levels and their well-being. Marijuana is also believed to heighten impulse responses, which leads to more risk-taking behavior. Characteristics like this can be beneficial to athletes. Studies also show that cannabis can help with the following issues: oxygenation of tissues, improve vision and concentration. It also helps athletes forget previous traumatic experiences related to the activity. This includes falls or injuries. It also reduces muscle spasms and aids in pain relief. Marijuana recently jumped tobacco and is now the second most used drug among athletes, behind alcohol. The jury is still out on marijuana because many people do not see eye to eye on the subject. Some athletes do not even see marijuana as a performance-enhancing drug. This is all according to E. Kelly's article, Why More Athletes Are Turning to Weed.
Athletes continue to find new ways to be able to enhance their performance, whether it is legal or not. Beginning now and continuing into the future, expect to see more ways to enhance brain performance. Neuroscientists are working with athletes to see how they can become more focused for a longer period of time. Science and technology are becoming a huge part in helping athletes maximize their performance. The good news is, most of these means are legal. For example, Will Allen, an NFL safety, freezes his body in liquid nitrogen for 3 minutes multiple times per week. Scientists are now even trying to engineer DNA and a way to help enhance the performance of humans. A major problem that can continue to hang over us is the use of PEDs by amateurs. Although there are restrictions against the use of PEDs for professionals, the amateur pool of athletes have no problem taking these drugs. This information comes from Jay Hooper's article, Building the New Super Athlete.
Use of drugs in sports has been around for ages, and it does not seem to be going anywhere anytime soon. Science and technology going into athletics nowadays can be beneficial when used correctly, but extremely harmful if taken advantage of. We can only try to improve on this issue as the years go forward, but it will not be an easy fight.